Hello there, many thanks for joining us at this hour on QTV. You are watching QTV News and I am Ajibento Drame in tonight's top stories. Following widespread reports and allegations that government had signed a deportation agreement with Switzerland, the Vice President Dr. Isotoure on Friday denied those allegations, calling them false. In preparation for a Freedom of Information legislation, a two-day training course for community radio stations on access to information and media self-regulation was organized by the Gambia Press Union. Save the Future Foundation charity was on Saturday launched at the Regional Education Office in Brikama, West Coast Region. In international news, BBC World News has been banned from airing in China a week after British media regulator Ofcom revoked the UK license for China's state-owned CGTN. 15 people in South Africa are facing fraud and corruption charges relating to the funeral service of former President Nelson Mandela in 2013. In sports news, we will bring you the latest in the Women's Volleyball League's Gamtel Women clash with the Prisons team. Well, those were our top stories for tonight. Do join us for the news in detail. Following widespread reports and allegations that government had signed a deportation agreement with Switzerland, the Vice President, Dr. Isotoure, on Friday denied those allegations, calling them false. Following a closed-door meeting with the visiting Vice President of Switzerland, Ignacio Cassis, at State House, she spoke to QTV's Antumane Isuonyasi.
Deportation is quite a contentious issue, especially here in the Gambia, where rumors and reports of an alleged agreement between the governments of the Gambia and Switzerland have been rife in the past weeks. This follows the Vice President's highly publicized visit to Bern on January 12, during which she signed two cooperation agreements on aviation and migration. However, the latter drew widespread criticism, with many alleging that deportation was embedded in the said agreement. However, newspaper reports in Switzerland revealed that the agreement covers issues relating to the practical organization of returnees, such as identification and the issuing of replacement documents, and it allows the two countries to strengthen their respective efforts in fighting illegal migration. Similar migration cooperation agreements have been signed with 8 other countries on the African continent, among them Angola, Cameroon, Benin and Tunisia. But speaking to QTV following a closed-door meeting with Ignacio Cassis, Switzerland's Vice President who signed the said agreement, on behalf of the Swiss government, Vice President Dr. Isotoure strongly denied signing any deportation agreement.
I remember the media carried so many information saying that we went to sign the deportation of Gambians, but that is not true, and I want to dispel it here. It has nothing to do with deportation. Migration is broader than deportation, and that was not what we went there for, and it's not an issue.
Could you repeat that again?
Migration is a development matter, and it is not about deportation alone. It deals with development of issues in terms of how we deal with our country and other countries. But it is not true that we were there to go and sign a deportation order.
Switzerland's Vice President Ignacio Cassis says he is in the Gambia to strengthen bilateral ties and promote Switzerland's new strategy for sub-Saharan Africa, which aims to raise the country's political profile and strengthen relations with African states.
The issues are the issues, of course, of bilateral cooperation in security, peace and security, and another issue is human rights and detention. We will visit a prison in the afternoon, and we will have a look about the detention conditions of the population.
He also revealed that part of his mission is to promote the remittances in crisis, how to keep them flowing appeal, a joint campaign launched by Switzerland and the United Kingdom in May last year. Although it is not clear whether the migration agreement includes deportation, as being alleged by critics, migrants' rights activists in Europe are trying to reach the bottom of the entire migration agreement. However, officials say the agreement on migration allows Switzerland and the Gambia to strengthen their respective efforts in fighting illegal migration. The Gambia government is currently facing criticism for allegedly signing the EU Good Document practice that allows its citizens to be deported back home. However, the Vice President maintains government has not signed any deportation agreement with Switzerland. Antumane Isuonyasi for QTV News.
As access to information legislation gets closer to becoming a reality, the media will have a crucial role to play in facilitating people's access to information. In anticipation of this change, a two-day training course for community radio stations on access to information and media self-regulation was organized by the GPU at the FIFA Gold Project in Yundum. Omar P. Jallo tells us more.
The training is organized by the Gambia Press Union with support from the British government's Foreign Commonwealth Development Office and is part of a project seeking to address public misconception about access to information and media freedom and to contribute to reforms of laws, policies and practices that will ensure the free flow of information and responsible journalism in the Gambia. At the opening ceremony, the president of the Gambia Press Union, Sirif Bojang Jr., said the objective of the training is to educate members from the 8 community radio stations across the country on the importance of the Access to Information Bill 2019 and media self-regulation, as well as implementation and monitoring processes when the bill is passed into law by Parliament.
In this country, television stations, there are parts in the country where people do not access television coverage, where newspapers hardly reach or do not reach at all. People struggle for bread and butter, but what is always intriguing in this country is the fact that even places where people struggle with livelihood, they have radios, sets. And as community radios and community radio broadcasters, you are always the link between them and the people.
David Belgrove, the British High Commissioner to the Gambia, said the British government through its High Commission in Banjul is implementing a project aimed at strengthening the ongoing efforts to build national consensus on access to information and media self-regulation in the Gambia and give an assurance of his office's continuous support to media freedom in the country.
This is about teaching people how to use the Access to Information Act. We believe this is a very important part of consolidating democracy in the Gambia. It means that people can actually ask questions of their government and talk to them in a spirit of transparency and find out the information that they need to inform their public.
Junkung Jobate from the Media Council explained the roles and functions of the Media Council and gives an assurance of the Council's commitment to ensuring the public trusted media practitioners.
So the council is there basically not to punish. It's not a punitive institution, but an institution that can work with the media as well as those who are aggrieved by media publications to create that vibrant and independent media.
The president of the network of community radios in the Gambia, Yusfa Bojang, commended the GPU for the training and encouraged the participants to take ownership of the event and utilize the knowledge gained.
We cannot make headway, or this country cannot go forward without your active participation in informing the masses, the communities that you serve in.
Binta Jao, a participant, is hopeful that at the end of the 2 days training, she will be well informed about the Access to Information Bill.
And this could help us very well in our work because all of us know the importance of information to the community, especially those at the grassroots.
Access to information is a fundamental human right as declared by the United Nations General Assembly in 1946. If the bill is adopted by Parliament, it is expected to greatly enhance the Gambia's emerging democracy. Reporting for QTV News, I am Omar P. Jallo.
A charity, Save the Future Foundation, was on Saturday launched at the Regional Education Office in Birkama, West Coast Region. Our reporter Babu Kasi attended the event and he tells us more.
Save the Future Foundation started operating last year to fight against hunger, support the differently abled persons, orphans and other vulnerable people in our society. At the launch, Bakari Konate, a member of the foundation, gave a brief background of how and why the organization was set up.
Save the Future Foundation is like any other charity foundation. But what makes us very different is that we are very, very action-oriented, because you could see as baby as we are as a foundation, we have achieved a lot. You will understand that the foundation has a lot in store also. We have a lot of programs that are coming. We have written so many proposals, up to 4, and all of these proposals shall be pursued to make sure that they are accomplished. as a very, very important achievement for the foundation.
Salimatu Fati, the founder of Salimatu Foundation, says more humanitarian foundations are needed in the country to help change the lives of people in need.
If you are running humanitarian service to people, funding is really, really crucial, but know that all the money that you have received is not meant for your pocket. It's meant for people that you are going to assist, and you shouldn't really joke about it. Whether you know it or not, it's something that you just have to do. You just have to do. I mean, to me, I'm seeing humanitarian service as everyone's responsibility, whether joining in a foundation or not. But we all have a responsibility to help one another, because we are not the same, and I don't think we will ever be the same as well. So what is more crucial is you help someone in one way or the other. Don't say, I don't have access to join this foundation. Don't say this foundation is famous, I have to join there, and if I don't join there, I cannot render my service. Don't just do things for social media. Don't just do things, you say people are not really appreciating your work, and you just have to sit down. Go to even your neighborhoods, your neighborhood countries, and try to help some people. You don't have to travel all the way to many kilometers. While you have people around your end, you can even help them. Just like they say, charity begins at home.
John Charles Njai, the chairperson of Tango, said he is hopeful because young people have now taken the lead to support the less privileged.
Save the Future Foundation has demystified, has debunked the common saying that Gambian youth are lazy, that Gambian youth are unfocused, Gambian youth are always waiting for people to do something for them. A young man has initiated an organization for the betterment of his country. This means that our young people are beginning to take their destiny in their hands and to begin to dictate and direct the affairs of their nation. And for this, I am hopeful.
Other speakers include Buba Tamba, the board chair of Save the Future Foundation, Charles de Gaulle Gomez, an activist for differently abled persons, and Kemo Fati of the University of the Gambia, who all encourage members of the Save the Future Foundation to strive hard in meeting their targets to support people in need. Babu Karsi, QTV News.
We will take a short commercial break. Still to come, international and sports news. Do stay tuned. Welcome back from that short commercial break. If you're just tuning in, this is QTV News. On to international news. The BBC World News has been banned from airing in China a week after British media regulator Ofcom revoked the UK license for China's state-owned broadcaster CGTN. Mubudumbo tells us more.
China's National Radio and Television Administration, in a statement, alleged that the British broadcaster's coverage of China had violated requirements that news reporting be true and impartial, and undermined China's national interests and ethnic solidarity. Consequently, BBC World News is not allowed to continue its service within Chinese territory, and its application for next year will be rejected. Hong Kong's public broadcaster, Radio Television Hong Kong, followed China's footsteps, announcing that from 11 p.m. on Friday, it would stop relaying BBC World News, which used to run nightly from 11 p.m. until 7 a.m. the following day. The BBC is already generally not viewable in China outside of some hotels, businesses and residential compounds for foreigners. It was not immediately clear if the ban would affect reception in those facilities. In recent weeks, the Chinese government has criticized BBC reports on the COVID-19 pandemic in China and allegations of systematic rape, sexual abuse and forced labor in the Xinjiang region, home to Uyghurs and other predominantly Muslim ethnic groups. Chinese officials say the claims were wholly without factual basis. This counterclaim was dismissed by a British politician, saying the role of media outlets such as the BBC is crucial to ensuring high-quality reporting of events around the world. What is happening to the Uyghurs in Xinjiang is a genocide, and silencing the BBC for reporting on it shows that the Chinese government has no intention on stopping its appalling human rights abuses. The Chinese action is seen as a response to the decision this month by Britain's communications watchdog, the Office of Communications, commonly known as Ofcom, to revoke the broadcast license for China's global television networks, CGTN, China's English-language satellite news channel. For its decision, Ofcom cited the links between CGTN and China's ruling Communist Party, alleging that the news channel follows the Chinese party line about Xinjiang and other ethnic minority regions. The channel had previously been rebuked by Ofcom for allegedly broadcasting biased coverage of Hong Kong's democracy movement. CGTN said Ofcom had been manipulated by extreme right-wing organizations and anti-China forces. Losing its British broadcasting license was a blow for CGTN, according to observers, since the channel acted as its European operations hub, and some kind of reprisal against the BBC was seen as inevitable. The latest spat between the two countries is yet another sign of plummeting relations between them, even though China is one of UK's main trading partners. The deteriorating relations have been blamed on China's imposition of new security laws in UK's former colony, Hong Kong, and a broader crackdown on dissidents. The UK has reportedly placed new restrictions on Chinese investment, and UK politicians are increasingly sounding what has been described as a xenophobic tone, arguing that a policy of engagement with China has failed, thereby pushing for a more robust line on the People's Republic. Last year, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson suffered a major backbench rebellion over the government's plans to give the Chinese technology giant Huawei a role in the UK's 5G network. The tech giant has been accused of working with the Chinese government, raising security concerns. In July, the government, in a volte-face, reversed its policy. To many analysts and top UK Treasury and Foreign Office officials, Britain can ill afford this tit-for-tat diplomacy and xenophobia. They say the UK will need Chinese investment to kickstart an economy in recession. And for many Brexiteers, part of the post-EU global Britain vision involved much greater trade with China. Some have argued that the underlying difficulty for Britain is that there is superpower rivalry between America and China, and Britain is caught in the crossfire. Britain, it is suggested, was being bullied not by the Chinese, but by the Americans to take sides in their tech trade war with Beijing, even though this is not in the British national interest. With a new administration in Washington, perhaps that pressure would abate, allowing the UK, in the words of one very senior UK official, to find a route between the evil empire and Project Kowtow. For QTV News, I am Mamadou.
15 people in South Africa are facing fraud and corruption charges relating to the procurement services for the funeral service of former President Nelson Mandela in 2013. More in this report.
The accused, which include high-profile Buffalo City employees, prominent political party members, and businessmen as well as business entities, face charges of fraud, breaching of the Municipal Financial Act, and corruption during the memorial service and funeral preparations of the late Nelson Mandela. Prosecutors allege they made fraudulent claims for the transportation of mourners and venues used in the city of East London for memorial services. They were granted bail and are expected to appear in court on 5th March. Prosecutors accused them of corruption and money laundering amounting to nearly £500,000. Police spokesperson said the Serious Commercial Crime Unit of the Hawks in East London in South Africa has conducted a thorough investigation which has led to the arrest. The Eastern Cape Provincial Head of the Directorate for Priority Crime Investigations, Major General Ngwenya, lauded the Serious Commercial Crime Investigation team for bringing the perpetrators to justice for squandering resources during a period when the country was mourning the death of an icon. All the accused appeared in court except for one who is in quarantine and will appear once healthy enough to do so. The allegations first emerged in 2014, months after Mandela's funeral in Kunu, Eastern Cape, in December 2013, which was attended by heads of state from around the world. Mandela was the country's first black leader after apartheid ended in 1994. Answanda Sonyasi for QTV News.
And now onto sports news. If there is one sport in the Gambia whose athletes are passionate about, the game is undoubtedly volleyball. Our reporter Mozo Gajaga attended Prisons vs Gamcel League match on Friday, and he now reports.
Playing on a poor court in week 4 of the Gambia Volleyball Federation League, Gamcel played against Prisons in the women category. The Telecom team won 3-1, but there was never a dull moment in the game. Sports is often driven by passion, determination and hard work. Athletes would go to the highest ends in pursuit of their dreams. In their pink jerseys, early setbacks shows weaknesses in their team. But towards the closing stages of the first quarter, the pre-match favourites Gamcel fought back to regain their position, winning 25-23. In the second quarter though, Prison women team gave Gamcel the shock of their game, winning in a close affair 25-23, equaling the score, 1 set apiece. Both teams showed a show of passion with great game spirit, players embracing each other even if they had poor control, resulting to their team conceding points. As the game progresses into the third and final quarter, the Telecom women showed great play with intensity, which could not be resisted by their opponents, as the scoreline in the fourth quarter indicated. Mariama Sao, one of Gamcel's most influential players, says she is happy with her performance.
Yeah, I'm really happy and I'm really proud of my girls because they played very well. I really played good today because I was the team passer before, but when Ancha came, we changed. Now I'm playing technical. I played very well, and it's my first game today to play as technical player.
Prison lost the game to a more fancied Gamcel side, but their coach remains optimistic, promising a comeback in the return leg.
Team was very much play well. I'm expecting a win, but unfortunately I could not win due to the second mistakes that my players have in the court. And I know the first set was tight because they have 25, I have 23. It was a very close. Then we come to the second set and we take that, we went to 1-1. Then the third set, the only experience that they have, they use that experience against me. That's why they win the third set and then the last set. Inshallah, by the grace of God, when they come to my court, because you look at the environment of this court is not that much big, but for that of our court where we do normally play our home game, that's Serakunda is, that court, that's where we train and we know that court very well. Inshallah, when we come back there, I wish you came there, I'm going to win the game, inshallah, by the grace of God.
Coach Amadou Jaju says his team could have done better despite their victory.
I feel delighted because this is what I'm expecting from them, because we need to win each game for us to be able to win the league. This is just the fourth game, but still we have more things to improve. Yeah, this is sport. Although they let me down, but you know, I'm expecting something, because if you can see this week our training is poor. Some of the players, they don't even come. The whole week they don't come for training.
The Telecom team play their next game against Hamza Barak on Sunday, while Olymp Africa host Gambia Armed Forces in both the male and female categories. Mamudu Kachaga, QTV News.
Before we end this bulletin, let's take a quick look at our main stories. Following widespread reports and allegations that government had signed a deportation agreement with Switzerland, the Vice President, Dr. Isotoure, on Friday denied those allegations in an interview with QTV's Antumana Isonyasi. As access to information legislation gets closer to becoming a reality, a 2-day training course for community radio stations on access to information and media self-regulation was organized by the Gambia Press Union. Save the Future Foundation charity was on Saturday launched at the Regional Education Office in Brikama, West Coast Region. In international news, BBC World News has been banned from airing in China a week after British media regulator Ofcom revoked the UK license for China's state-owned CGTN. 15 people in South Africa are facing fraud and corruption charges relating to the funeral service of former President Nelson Mandela in 2013. In sports news, we brought you the latest in the women's volleyball leagues. Gamcel women clash with the Prisons team. Well, that's it from me in tonight's bulletin. Do join us tomorrow for the Week in Review. Bye for now.